Hi folks, I'm Matt, and we're way overdue for a board game review. Alright folks, welcome to part one of my review of Firefly the game. This is a game I've been playing a lot recently. Anyone who's been over to my house knows I've been trying to teach this to as many of my friends as I could because I freaking love this game and I want to show the entire world. So let's look at the setup here. As you see, it is a huge game. Look how big that is. That is amazing. Lots of pieces to this game. Let me see if I can help you out here. There's job cards over here. Supply cards over there. We'll get to these in a minute. Look at the cash there, 100s, 500s, 1000s, and 2000s. A huge board. I hear a lot of complaints about the board, especially with the expansion that adds on to that board. But to be honest, bring it on. I love huge board games like this. You also have some nav cards here, some aim to misbehave. I'll talk about all this later. Ship cards, ship dice. Let me look at the ship dice here. These suckers are nice. Beautiful die, which by the way, if it lands on a ship, that counts as a 6. You also get to roll again and add on to that 6 roll. So for instance, if I rolled it, it would be 11 total together. And I'll talk about this more later. Also, you look at some of these ships here. Here's a Federation ship here. It's a little bent though because it got caught in the wrapping. But anyway, that would usually go right there. Starts off in the white sun. Then you have, of course, Firefly right here. Let's see if I can get this. Okay. You can see the Firefly ship design. Very beautiful, very nice. It will go on the board later on. Of course, you see the Reaver ship, and the Reaver ship is awesome. And believe me, if you play this game enough, you will hate some freaking Reavers. You'll hate them. But anyway, Reaver ship would start right there in the corner. Okay, so your first act of business is to pick a ship. You will go around in turns picking a ship. As you see, I have the Serenity here, the other ships that are available. You have the Bonanza, the Bonnie May. Whoa, look out, and the Young Quee there, which I had trouble looking at. There you go. Now, to be honest, none of these ships are better than the others. They're all the exact same ship, meaning and cargo and stash hold, how many slots you can have, how many active jobs, and how many crew members. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. Sure, everyone wants to pick Serenity at first, but to be honest with you, after a while, you'd be like, no, I want to be Young Quee this time, or I want to be Bonanza. And a lot of my nephews now, they don't even pick Serenity anymore. They like to be in one of the other ones because it's just a different color to work with. But for these purposes, of course, we're going to be Serenity. Okay, so the first thing I should need to do is I'm actually going to have to put in my main drive, which are these cards over here. They're just marked with you can't take the sky from me. And everyone will be issued this card, and they just flip it under the main drive. As you see, I have slots for 3 other upgrades. I also can hold 3 active jobs, which everyone can do that. I have a cargo hold that can fit in cargo, like fugitives or passengers, whichever one it calls for. They flip it over for that. Also, same thing with cargo or contraband. You can just flip it over which. Of course, passengers and cargo probably go in the cargo hold. If it's illegal, I may want to put it in my stash to avoid being caught by the Federation. Just in case they do a customs inspection on me, I want to make sure I have those safely tucked away, because anything in your stash they won't be able to find in most cases. Anyway, so other things you can fit in there are these fuel and parts tokens. Fuel tokens will have you move. I'll talk more about those later. Parts tokens also help you from breakdown. Sometimes your Firefly breaks down in space. Oh, how horrible. But if you have some parts, you can fix it right there on the road and keep moving. And of course, these can fit 2 per space in there. Now, you're going to start off with actually 6 fuel and 2 parts in the base game. There are several ways to play this game. Several story cards here, as you can see here. We usually play just the standard game. I have played one of the other ones as well. I love how they have different options for this. Look at this. They even have a solo play, which is awesome because sometimes all by myself, no one wants to play with me, and I play by myself, which is sad, but this is a great game. Anyway, but these are all the cards. You see they're the same you can't take the sky from me thing. They're huge. But these are story cards. We'll just be playing the base game for this purpose. One of the base games is go to collect $15,000 in cash, or get that much, work that much. First one to 15,000 wins. Like I said, we usually play the standard game because I'm showing it to people, but eventually I do want to play some of these other story cards because I think each one of them, I think this entire game is awesome. All right, so here's how we play at my house. We go around the room, we let each one pick their ship. After everyone's picked the ship, the person who picked the ship last gets to pick their captain first. And what captains can you choose from? Well, as you see, here they are: Malcolm, Womack, Monty, Burgess, Corbin, Marco, and Nandi. Now, all of these come with different abilities and whatnot. As you see, some of these have these little things on the side here. If you see this, negotiation, fight, and the other one, there it is, tech. And we'll talk more about those. Depending on what jobs you get, it may require X amount of fight skills or X amount of communication or negotiation or tech, you know, and we'll talk about that later. Just to kind of go through these cards in general. A few things you need to know. Each one comes with a little special ability, of course. With Mal, you take $500 every time you complete a crime job. And it will say on the jobs here that we'll get to later on whether it's a crime job, you know, or if it's a shipping job or a smuggling job or what, it'll say that on the card. But for Mal, we get $500 per crime job. That's nice. Of course, with Womack, his special ability is when you complete an immoral job, take $500. And some of these cards say immoral on it, and that's how you know it is an immoral job. Anyway, the next one's Monty. If you take a smuggling job, you get $500 on top of whatever they're paying you. So you see, each one of these comes with something special. For instance, Burgess, when you do a shipping job, you load one extra cargo. Why would I load a cargo? Well, if you're solid with one of these people here, which means if you completed a job with them, you can sell them cargo and contraband that you found either through the verse on salvage ops, which I'll talk about in a minute, or through little special cards like that. It says I load one cargo. So in that case, I'd load an extra cargo that I could sell to someone else, another client later on. Anyway, another cool thing about Burgess is he comes with fancy duds, which is an item in the game usually you have to buy. But if you have Burgess, you come with fancy duds too. You have Corbin, which he can buy core drives and ship upgrades at half price. That's awesome. I fly with Corbin a lot. Marco, I fly with him a lot too because he can buy explosives or firearms at half price. Another cool thing. Plus, he comes with a transport. You don't have to buy one. He comes with a transport, a permanent transport. And then finally is Nandi. You can hire crew at no cost. Usually, when you hire a crew, you have to pay whatever the dollar amount is on their card to hire them onto your crew. But with Nandi, you get them for free. You still have to pay them, but you get them for free starting off. So that's really good. Another neat thing about this is on each of these cards, if you've noticed, they also write down what they are. If they are a particular class. For instance, Malcolm is a pilot and a soldier. That's nice. We have a soldier there. We have a soldier and a mechanic on Monty. Mechanic, let's see. Oh, and then Nandi's a companion. Why am I pointing that out? Well, on some of these cards, it says, for instance, if you have, this is a card from Patience here, if you have a soldier, you get a $300 bonus on top of the $2,000 that she's paying you to complete the job. So if I actually had a soldier, either as my captain or as one of the crew that I will find in these decks here, then I get a bonus 300 per soldier. So if I had two, I get 600. So that's really neat. Nandi's really cool because she's a companion. There are very few companions in the deck there, and companions pay out a lot there. So like $500 per companion. So if you just have one, Nandi's really good for that. She's going to make a lot of money for you. Anyway, other thing here that they have, some of these crew have the word moral on them. Some, of course, do not. What does that mean when they are immoral? Well, that means when they get to an immoral job, they can do it, but if they do it and they complete the job, they're going to get a little frowny face. Oh, they're going to be sad that they did something immoral. Now, I'll talk more about these tokens in another video for another time. Also, a little fun item I forgot to mention here is the Stegosaurus. whoever's turn it is, you will pass them the Stegosaurus, and that will indicate it is their turn. Now, to be honest, usually we don't play with the Stegosaurus. However, I do play with a lot of millennials who get caught up in what's on their cell phone, or they take breaks, or they go get chips or nachos or whatever we have cooking at the time, and they come back and no one knows whose turn it is. This comes in handy. Whoever has a Stegosaurus, it is their turn. So we can sometimes do it that way if we have a scattered group. Usually, though, I don't use a Stegosaurus. I do think it's fun. All right, so let's say I picked a crew. I'm going to pick Malcolm. All right, since I have the Serenity, I have to pick Malcolm, right? It's only proper. So in our game, how it would start off is everyone would get $3,000. Now, that $3,000 usually is for shopping, you know, where you can get ship upgrades and fuel, parts, and whatnot. But you can keep it and try to do it on your own. I've seen different strategies here. I've seen people try not to hire a crew and just do some of the smaller jobs, and I'll get to the jobs in a minute. I've seen other people just try to hire as many people as they could and take on the big jobs. That's me. But anyway, either way though, it's incredibly fun, and there's strategies each way you do it. One of the things you'll want to do though, it says, it's called priming the pump. You want to take the top 3 cards out of the top of each of these decks and flip them over to create a discard pile. I'll get to that later on, but every one of these is going to have a discard pile for someone to shift through if they think they want one of these before they go shopping. Again, getting ahead of myself. The only other thing that I want to mention before I move on is if you have 2 Fireflies on the same space, you may trade with that other Firefly anything in your possession. Like if you have extra cargo, you want to trade for extra parts. Maybe they have a lot of fuel, you don't. Maybe you want to trade for that fuel with something that you have that they need. Whatever. There's no penalty for that. It doesn't count as an action. You can trade freely with anyone as long as you're on the same space as them. Alright, so moving on. The next thing, once I got my captain, the last person to pick a captain is the first person to get to place their ship on the board. And they may place it at any one of these places. Silverhold, Osiris, Regina, Persephone, and the Space Bazaar. And they're located in the various sections of the map here. So I'm going to pick, I guess, Space Bazaar. I'll just start there, just keepsake there. And that's how the game would be set up. Everyone else would pick one. You don't usually have more than 1 spot Firefly at a spot. At the moment, 4 is the maximum in the base game. Now if you get some of the expansions, which I'll get to later, you can play with more. And in that case, once all the planets have been filled up, then someone can play it on a different planet. Okay, so let's get into the options. What can you do? You can do 3 actions per turn. And what are these actions? The first action is to fly. You may choose to fly. How do you fly? Well, you can do a mosey, which means you just mosey 1 sector at a time. That is 1 action right there. Or you can burn one of your fuel and move that many spaces that's on your hard drive core here into space. So for instance, I have a 5 drive core. I can move 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, but before I do all that, every sector you move in, you have to pull up a nav card. Now you choose the nav card of the space that you're occupying. For instance, you see that blue circle there? That is Federation space. Oh, everything around it, that is border space. The Federation ship does not move out of Federation space, and Reavers do not leave border space. They can't exit border space into the Federation, okay? Doesn't work that way. So how it would work, let's say if I chose to burn some fuel here and move those 5 spaces, I would go 1. Well, if I'm in nav space, border space, excuse me, I have to pick one of these cards. And it can say anything. This one says, have the player to the right move the Reaver 1 space, so that they can move the Reaver. Reavers are bad. Don't want to get on Reavers. But anyway, some of these will just say different things. Like this one gives you an option. Sometimes you can spend a cargo or move all disgruntled from the crew and keep flying. So if you do have some disgruntled crew members, that's a way to undisgruntle them. Or you can just skip that step and just go to step 2, keep flying. Now there are some cards that just say keep flying. In fact, let's see, yeah, here it is, keep flying, which you'll see a lot of. Every once in a while though, you'll get some doozy of a card. Same thing in Alliance Space. They have keep flying cards. They have cards here that do salvage ops, meaning hey, if you stop your turn and roll the die or do this, we'll give you 2 cargo. You salvage 2 cargo. And that's just 2 extra cargo or contraband that you can keep in your cargo band. And you can sell to someone once you're solid with them. Again, I'll get to that later. But Sometimes people do this. I know I do it a lot. It really slows down whatever achievement you're trying to do on the board here. But I will always stop for salvage ops because that's just free money in my opinion. But I do have people that skip through the salvage ops and want to get to that job immediately and finish it and move on to the next. So that's flying. That's what you get to do when you're flying. Of course, if it says you have to stop, you have to stop. Even if you could go 5, if it says you broke down and you don't have the parts to fix it, then you stop right there. Your turn is dead on that one. The third action you can do, of course, is shop for things. How to shop for things. For instance, you have to be on that planet. So let's say I am on Silverhold. Okay, I choose to buy. Well, I can look through the discard pile. Any cards that I may consider buying, any one of these 3 cards, I'll go through the cards later on, but any one of these cards I consider buying, I can hold and then pick however many more as long as it totals up to 3. So for instance, if I'm not interested in any of these cards, well, I can pick the top 3 off the deck and look at those. Do I have to buy one of those? No, I don't have to buy any of those. But it's just an option to do that. Now, let's say if I like this sniper rifle firearm. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to this one. I may want to buy this. Okay, then I can look at 2 more from the deck. Or if I say, oh no, look, I want this hillfolk person too. I want to consider buying both of these. Well, I can go ahead and just buy both of them. I know this is what I want. Or I can choose to look at the top card there and say, do I want that one too? You can only buy up to 2 at a time. You cannot buy all 3. You have to wait till your next turn to buy those. Also, another thing you can do is deal. Try to make a deal with one of these people. Pick up some jobs. At the beginning of the game we're playing, you can pick up one of each of these cards, consider 3 of them, and then discard the other 2. They just go in the discard above them so that anyone else can look through them. Just like you would in the shopping one. You can look through 3 at a time when you're on their planet, wherever they are, like Patience is on Athens. You have to be on Athens to look at Patience cards and whatnot. For Harkin, you have to be on his space station. You know, it's always drifting around. So wherever it is at the time, if you meet with it, you can shop for Harkin and get some jobs from him. Like I said, you can only look at 3 per turn. You can hold up to 3 in your hand. You can also have 3 active jobs at one time. So if I'm working 2 jobs, I can have 3 more in my hand, and I'm okay. All right. So what is your 4th action you can do? Well, another action would be to work a job. So for instance, if I had to go to Triumph here and I had to pick up 2 passengers or whatnot, that would be an action. Picking up cargo or dumping off cargo. If I have to dump it off in Albion and I have to dump it off, that does count as an action. So I could fly for 1 action, dump them off for 2 actions. Well, let's say I'm on Osiris, and then shop for the 3rd action. You can't do any action more than once per turn, and you only get 3 actions, so choose wisely what you want to do. Also, there's another work option. If you're just on a planet and you're just hurting for cash and you can't afford to do anything, you can just pause right there and say, I'm working on this planet, and you'll receive $200 once per turn. So those are the 4 actions that you can do during your turn, and only 3 of those you can do per turn. So let's talk about these jobs and these workers here. First one I want to talk about is Harkin. Harkin is very easy. His jobs don't pay as much. As you see, usually they're legal. Sometimes they could be illegal. This one has a companion bonus. As I showed you earlier, sometimes you get bonuses, and companions are very expensive. That's a great bonus for companions. And they're very easy. They're very easy jobs. Very short distances usually, but they pay low. So you can make some money, but not that much if you want to work for him. Also, if you see the needs right here, it will tell me whether I need any fight skills, negotiation, or tech skills. This one says no. Usually on Harkin, you don't need any extra skills. Like I said, his jobs are very easy. Now, once you're finished working a job for any of these people, including Harkin, you can flip it over and say, okay, now I am solid with Harkin. What does that mean? Well, it means you complete a job for him and you get extra perks. Like what? Well, his says, hey, when you're solid with Harkin, you make more custom inspections nav cards. Custom inspections are going to be cards that you'll see here that may pop up. There it is. Oh, well, no, that's not one of them. Anyway, there's cards in here that say, uh-oh, he's going to do a custom inspection on you. Well, if you're solid with him, you're okay. You're cool. Unless It's this hard card Alliance Contact. Now this is just a copy that you give the friends across the board from you if they want to see what they have to do. If you get one of these, you have to adhere to it, meaning you have to pay fines per warrant. You have to clear all warrants. All contraband and fugitives are seized, including the ones in your stash. Oh no, how terrible. This is different from a regular custom search. You have to roll for each wanted crew, and wanted crews will carry that emblem on the card. I'll show you that in another video. And also if you rolled a 1, they captured them. 2 through 6, they dodged capture. So it's pretty hard to get them captured. But by the way, I've rolled several 1s, and me and a couple other people just hate Harkin because he takes some of our great wanted people. And then of course if it's during flying and you pull that card, you have to come to a full stop, and that's the end of your turn at that point, or end of that action I should say. So that is no good. By the way, let me back up here. What is a warrant? These are warrants. They also flip on the other side and say goal. We're not going to talk about goals because we're playing the standard game, and in the standard game they don't have goals for you. If you did, every time you achieve a certain amount of goals, you get a gold token. Once you get X amount, you win the game. That's not the game we're playing here. We're just playing it with warrants. You're always going to play with warrants. Some of these aim to misbehave cards will tell you if you get a warrant issued against you or not. Sometimes they're avoidable, sometimes they're unavoidable, and they suck. But once you are issued a warrant with Harkin, it is no good. You're going to lose your solid with him. You discard that card from the game because you have been issued a warrant. If you are issued a warrant during working any one of these players, you lose your solid for that rep there. And regardless of whether you're working a Harkin job or not, once you're issued a warrant for any person's job, you will lose your solid with him. Folks, you don't want to lose your solid with Harkin. I guarantee you that custom inspections nav card comes up quite a few times here. I would at least advise you to get one job completed with Harkin because he is well worth it, just avoiding that customs inspection. If you lose it based on a warrant, somehow find a way to clear the warrants and do another job for him. You can't do any jobs for Harkin if you have a warrant, but find a way to get rid of those warrants and work for Harkin because he's great to have just one job done with him. Also, as you see here, you can buy fuel if you are on his station. So if his station was over there and I was just flying through, I could stop by and purchase fuel from Harkin. Usually the only ways you can purchase fuel is on one of these planets where you can shop. So Silverhold, Osiris, Regina, Persephone, and Space Bazaar. While you're shopping, you can also buy more fuel, which you're going to need, and definitely some more parts. Okay, but this is Harkin, all right? Easy jobs, low pay. Let's go to the next one. Ion Duel. Ion Duel is pretty cool. And his one, oh, I picked a good one here. See, his says heavy load. Some of them come with special instructions. And heavy load, that means instead of burning one fuel to move, you have to burn an additional fuel to do a full burn, which is what it's called when you're going to the max there. All right, so I would have to spend 2 fuel on this, but hey, it pays a whole lot more. Heavy loads do. So that's really awesome. Of course, his jobs may have a few extra things on it, but when you're solid with him, you can load as many passengers and fugitives at the Space Bazaar. No limit. Well, what does that mean? Well, why would I need more passengers and fugitives? Because if you get caught by Reavers, that is a bad thing. Repeat, bad thing. Because Reavers are bad and they will kill off all of your passengers and fugitives. Look at this card. It's in this border space card. It'll look like this. It'll say Reaver Contact. Look at this. If you're very lucky, they're going to kill all your passengers and your fugitives and some of your crew too if you fail to roll any of those numbers, fight skill numbers. So Reavers, bad. But if they kill all of your passengers and fugitives and you need those in order to make a delivery, well, guess what? You can always stop by the Space Bazaar if you're solid with Ion Duel and pick up more passengers and fugitives. Let me let you know this. You're probably going to need that. He will come in handy every once in a while. You can also see you can sell back any excess cargo or contraband you come across during salvage ops. When you're flying through space, salvage ops are going to be defined again through these nav cards. They'll tell you, give you the option for a salvage op or not. But once you do a salvage operation, you can actually sell these to anyone that you're solid with. So once I complete a job with Ion Duel, I'm solid with him. And each one of these pay certain amounts for contraband and cargo. For instance, he pays the most for cargo, whereas someone like Niska would pay the most for contraband. So depending on who you have, he can be very beneficial. Next one is Badger. Of course, we all know and love Badger, those who know the series. Look at that, he has an illegal job. It's not immoral, so someone like Mal could do it. But it's illegal, which means if I could get busted by the Federation for doing it because it's going to be something naughty. Now this one's just aiming to misbehave. I got to go through 3 of these cards. I'll show you that at another time. But anyway, sometimes it'll say, usually when it's illegal, you're usually dealing with contraband or fugitives, which you need to hide. All right, anyway, if you notice this one, it needs a fake ID. It also comes with, you need 2 tech skills and 2 negotiation skills to accept this job. You can hold on to the card. You may not accept the job until you meet the criteria here. So you can hold on to it. I don't have to discard it because, oh man, I don't have 2 tech. I have to discard this card. No, you don't. You can hold on to it, and then once you get the needs for it, then you can play it. It can be one of your active jobs that you have and you're working and you're available on. Again, there you see there, a medic bonus for this job would be 400. So depending on if you have any medic in your crew here, you would get an extra 400 in that case on top of the 3,500. Now, what happens when you're good with Badger? Well, good things happen. First off, of course, you can see he pays a lot more than Amandul does for contraband. But also, when solid dealing with Badger, you can pay $1,000 to clear all of your warrants. Now these warrants, to clear them, are $1,000 each if you get busted by the Federation. However, let's say I had 3 of these. I don't want to pay $3,000 and take the risk of getting caught. I would rather pay Badger $1,000 and have him clear all my warrants from my record. And now I'm clear. I can go back and work for Harkin if I want to work a job for Harkin, or I don't have to worry if I land on a space or get apprehended by the Federation because Badger cleared all my warrants. I am good. All right, so that's his perk there. Patience. Patience pays a little bit more than Amandul and Badger. Her jobs sometimes have a little bit more needs. That one's not so bad. This one's actually a smaller one here. But when you're good with patience, not only does he pay for cargo and contraband, but you may also consider 4 jobs at a time when good with patience. Usually you only pick up 3 at a time. But if you're good with patience, you can consider 4 jobs. Now again, remember, same rules apply. Like if there's a few jobs that people passed up and they didn't want, maybe I want to consider 2 of these jobs and look at 1 more. If I'm good with patience, I can look at 2 more, okay? And I can consider X amount of jobs. But anyway, same thing here as you would in the little discard box. You will have discard piles here where you can choose to look through those as well as some new ones as well. Of course, you cannot exceed the limit number of deals you can look at one time for 1 turn. Finally, there's Niska, which, to be honest, no one really takes jobs from Niska. I do because I'm insane and I have reckless abandon for my crew. Look at this job. It's immoral. And I have a moral captain. If I have any moral crew members and they do an immoral job, remember, frowny face. We'll talk more about that in another video. But here on this one, Niska's jobs usually have some good needs. This is actually a lower paying job here. He can pay a lot more than that. But his jobs are super hard. And when you're solid with him, look what it says. If you're issued a warrant while working for Niska, you kill a crew member. So whenever you're working with him and you get issued a warrant, one of your crew will die. Now captains can't die. They're extremely lucky, they say. Instead, you would just place an additional sad face on them if they're the only one left on your crew. But crew members will die. Many crew members have died under my watch while working for Niska. I hate it, I miss them all, but I can't resist the money that he pays out. But he will definitely kill a few of your crew members in that time. Niska's not a fun person to deal with, but he does pay a lot. Okay folks, well I'm going to pause right there because honestly, this video is going to take 45 minutes or longer explaining how to play, and I do want to break it up into sections because I want to make sure I capture any of your questions that you have at this time. Now folks, I play with a bunch of house rules. If I have accidentally mentioned a house rule without saying it first, please let me know in the comments. One of the house rules I do want to mention is about the actual actions. In our home rules, our house rule is you can do these actions more than once per turn. For instance, if you want to burn fuel, you can do it 2 times or even 3 times if you want to go really fast. If you just wanted to shop at this one planet and you want to keep going through it, you can do shop 3 times. or looking for deals. You can look through it twice or 3 times. The only one that we don't let you do multiple times at the same turn would be to work on a planet, meaning you get that extra $200. You can only do that once per turn, but everything else you can do multiple times. Why is that a house rule for us? Folks, this game is extremely long. I know it says 2 hours, but really it's more like 3 or 4 hours to play. What we found out is if we play it this way, according to our house rules, it really speeds up the game. Probably about an hour even. So we'll play a game in a little over 2 hours or a little under. So it really speeds up the game for us, which is why we play it that way. However, that is a house rule. So it's optional whether you want to use that or not. Okay, folks, that is all the time we have for today. We will be back with part 2. Until then, game on, gamers!